All right. Oh, there we go. I was waiting for the red dot.
Oh,
Thank you very
yes,
much.
of course, yeah.
Right. Well, welcome everybody. This is my first executive cabinet member meeting as cabinet member for adults, health and wellbeing. It won't be my last because there is another one before the election. So I've got at least one more, hopefully more beyond that. We've got a relatively short agenda today, a couple of items for noting, and then the home and community-based support service, which I'll ask officers to take us through when we get to that item. Firstly is, do we take apologies for absence, Susan, on this?
We don't generally, but Councillor Andy Morgan's just bobbing it. Oh, just bear with me. I don't know if somebody just let him in there. Did somebody else let him in from the lobby? Yeah, we've got apologies from Councillor Bamforth. He's out on site or something, so he couldn't make it. But I've not had any other apologies, so I think everybody who's going to be here is here.
Thanks, and welcome, Councillor Morgan. We've not done much. You've not missed anything, but we are ready to move into the items on the agenda. So the first is monitoring of executive cabinet member decisions, and a report has been circulated listing those. None of these are my decisions because this is the first opportunity to make any that I've had. But are there any questions from anybody on anything in that report?
Nope.
No? Okay, thank you. So we can move on to item 2, which is the Adults and Housing Performance Management Report Q3 for 23-24. Similarly, this is for noting, but we can take questions on that if there is anything that anybody has got to ask. Take silence to mean no. Okay, thank you very much. So moving on to the final item, which is the most substantial one, the Home and Community-Based Support Service permission to tender 2024. And this is Tracy, right, to talk us through this?
Yes, it is. Thank you, Chair. I'll talk through briefly and happy to take any questions at the end. Thank you for today. This paper is to seek the authorisation to carry out the home care and community-based support retender. We are looking for the recommendations are to approve a retender of the home care service framework agreement, to approve a new framework agreement that is awarded to the successful provider for 4 years with an option to extend for a further 2 years using the light touch regime, and to delegate authority to the Director of Communities and Integration to finalise the new service model and agree the new specification, and finally to delegate to the Borough Solicitor to authorise to carry out any legal formalities. In terms of the paper, section 1 talks you around the context of why we have a home care service and the fact that this is in place to support people to live independently, to live their best day every day, to support that wider independence and the living well at home agenda. I'm going to focus a little bit on a couple of core sections just for your noting, appreciating that everyone will have already read the report. So this report outlines a request for permission to issue a tender for the new home care and community-based framework agreement. Current agreement will expire on the 30th of November 2024, and that is for Tier 1 and Tier 2. Hence the reason why it's imperative that we seek permission to do this work now. At the moment, 89.5% of our contracted providers deliver care for Bolton Care that is rated either good or outstanding. We currently have no inadequate or requires improvement providers within that sector. Similarly to most other authorities, Bolton's commissioning of home care is a time and task model, and that supports the planning and delivery of day-to-day personal tasks and daily household tasks, promoting independence and that quality of life. The care is delivered by CQC registered inspectors, and of that we have 60 CQC registered home care providers currently based in Bolton. Section 1.7 just talks to you about the difference between Tier 1, which is our framework providers, Tier 2, which were approved providers brought into the marketplace in 2019 due to the additional pressures. And then finally, we do have a Tier 3, which is spot purchase providers. We use them rarely, and we only use them where Tier 1 and Tier 2 have been unable to successfully identify a provider to provide that support. It's important to note if we do spot purchase, it's always signed off by a head of service as well. Home care service currently in Bolton is about 20,000 hours per week, and the forecast spend is 22.5 million for 24-25. Section 2.2 and 2.3 and 4 really focus on our engagement and the consultation model for the future. So we've done some quite extensive early engagement with both service users and our partners and stakeholders, and some of those findings are detailed particularly in 2.4. This will be a phased improvement offer, and this is about making some small but significant changes to the model, which will further improve the home care approach. And finally, the options. The council's home care agreement is, as I've said, expected to expire on the 30th of November 2024. It's imperative that we continue with this timeline and we maintain legal compliance. The tender agreement as we've discussed, and the timeline is identified in section 3. Finances are detailed in section 4.4, and I will read this just for clarity. The current projected spend, as I've said, is 22.5 million, but the table in the paper 4.1 gives you an indicative projection of the costs and how they might increase in terms of demand, and we've pitched that at about 8%. That's an increase over the 4 plus the 2 years, and those are detailed in the table provided. I've explained the current legal position and the need to ensure that we retender within the timelines agreed. And then finally, section 6 details some of that extensive consultation that we've already undertaken with both partners and providers and service users. So the recommendation is to approve a retender of the home care service framework agreement, to approve the new framework agreement as of the state of 4 years with an option for an additional 2, and to delegate the authority to the Director of Communities and Integration to finalise the new service model, delegating the Borough Solicitor to authorise and carry out any necessary formalities. Happy to take any questions, Chair.
Okay, thanks very much, Tracy, for running us through the report. I'll allow opposition members to ask any questions or make observations in the first instance, if there are any. No? All right. Okay. Do any other officers have anything to add on this, or Tracy's very comprehensive there? Thank you. Fab. All right. So, I mean, my observations for what they're worth, it seems very positive that 89.5% of our current providers are rated good or outstanding, and we don't have any that are inadequate. And I think the number of providers that are CQC registered in Bolton at 60 shows that we've got a diverse but competitive market that allows us to do that. So that enables us to pick and choose the best and ensure that people in Bolton are getting the very best care from the services that we commission. I do think it's very positive as well that we commission based on tasks and not time, because we know historically that there have been real horror stories about 15-minute care visits where it's as much as you can get in 15 minutes and that's your lot. Whereas this is about, we do what people need and provide the support that they need. So again, the way this is structured is very positive in supporting people to get what they need from the services that we are paying for. But then finally, the overall figure of 22.5 million increasing by 8% or projected to increase by 8% each year. I trust that that's a really adequate contingency or projection, but it just speaks to the way that a greater proportion of the council's budget is going on adult social care at a time when the overall budget of the council is going down. And so it means that the nice to have things, or well, you know, not necessarily nice to have, people do expect bins to be emptied and potholes to be filled in, but it just means there's less money for that sort of stuff because of the demand that we have to manage with an ever reducing budget. So I don't have any questions, Tracy. I thought that was a really helpful presentation of the report, but just wanted to add those observations. The recommendations set out on the front page, it's just for me to agree those, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's your decision if you approve those recommendations that are laid out there for you from Tracy.
All right, and so you can minute it that I do.
I will do. Thank you. Yeah.
All right, and thank you very much. And Tracy, is this your final meeting with us as well?
It is, yes.
It is. Well, it was nice to work with you, however briefly that was. And all the best for the future.
Thank you.
But Councillor Morgan, do you want to come in as well?
Yeah, can I add my thanks to Tracy as well, because she's off capacity new tomorrow, and it was been great working with you, Tracy. And we'll catch up on the hospice circuit, I'm sure, in the future.
Oh, thank you, Councillor Morgan. It was an absolute pleasure, as it was to work with the rest of you. But obviously, we spent a considerable amount of time working together, so thank you very much.
All right. And unless, Susan, you tell me I've got to do anything else.
No, you don't have to do anything else. No, just turn up next week for our last meeting of the, hopefully, for the municipal year.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
All
the
right.
meeting's finished.
Thanks for your attendance, everybody. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye for
Bye,
now.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.